And going through a number of online assessment tools, the one that I found most helpful is Socrative. Socrative is a great tool for teachers to create quizzes for students to take online. Today we will be going through the steps required to set up your account, create quizzes, and preview what the student quiz taking will look like as well. So the first thing you're going to do is view socrative.com. This is your teacher login screen, so your URL is over here at the top. To create an account, you simply select register. They want your email and a password for you to create, and of course you have to accept the terms and conditions. But once that's done, it's a pretty easy registration. Since I have already created an account, I am going to enter my information now so that we can view my site. So now that I'm getting into my classroom, one thing that you're going to need to note, which is very important, is your room number. At the top, it lists your room number here, and that's important because that's how your students are going to log in and take your quizzes. So whereas my account required an email address, student accounts do not require that because they are not logging in with an account, they are logging into your classroom. So again, this room number will be essential when we move into the student portion of the Socrative quiz taking. So for right now as a teacher, a few things I want to draw your attention to are creating the quizzes. So when I look at my different options, I have four main options. One being to start a quiz, do a quick question, implement a space race, or use the exit ticket option. These are just the four options that you can use determining that which sort of assessment you would be doing, whether it's formative or summative, informal or formal. Of course, the quizzes, start a quiz is going to be able to take us to the standard quiz where students can answer questions. A quick question is just going to be one question. You will get to select the question type and immediately provide that for students. So that's great for informal assessment as you're going throughout the lesson. Space race is a really great way to really get students engaged because you allow students to participate in groups to go throughout a quiz and race one another to the end. And then, of course, your exit ticket is just your question on the way out the door. Again, for just formative assessment, you just want to know how things are going as you progress through the lesson. So the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and create a quiz, and I'm going to do that by selecting the blue option right here, which is Manage Quizzes. Once I'm in there, I need to create a quiz. I can also import quizzes if I work with a group of teachers. To import the quiz, all I would need to know was the number for their quiz so that we could work together and not all have to start from scratch. I can also review reports or go to my quizzes, but today we're just going to create a quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and select Create a Quiz. The first thing that I'm going to do once I'm there is name my quiz. So for the purposes of today, we're just going to call this Example. You can already see my Socrative number here. That's to share it, and that's the number that I was talking about when it was talking about importing quizzes. So if I wanted to share this with my fellow teachers, then this is the Socrative quiz number that I would share with them so that they are able to also use the quiz in their classroom. So I can also add a tag if I wanted to indicate to other teachers the content that is contained within the quiz. From here, I get to choose exactly what I'd like to add. So I can add a multiple choice question, a true or false question, or a short answer question. We're going to go ahead and add one of each today, just so that we can go through each of those processes, beginning with multiple choice. Once I select that, it's going to ask me what the question will be. So my first question will be something simple just to get us used to using the program. All I need to do is click in the box and I can begin typing. I do have a little bit of formatting, but not as much as there are in others. So if you have a specific question that you'd like to input and you don't think that this provides you that, there are other quiz making applications that provide more choices here, such as inserting links and whatnot. There is an option to insert a photo, and we'll view that here in just a moment. So for my multiple choice question, I'm just going to say, how does this work? From here, I can insert answer choices simply by selecting them. Again, I'm just going to put some easy choices in here so that we can go through these quickly. Now, if you see that there are more choices than you'd like for the kids to have, you can always delete them by selecting delete. You'll notice that once I do that, number 4 is about to disappear, and then number 3. And if I decided that I actually needed to add more choices to my multiple choice, I could do that simply by selecting add. Now it's important that I also select the correct answer. So once I have my question at the top and my answer choices, I will go ahead and select the correct answer. One great thing that you will notice about Socrative is that there's an explanation section. Here I can indicate to students the reasoning behind the answer. So after they have selected their answer choice, it will tell them the reason that that answer was correct and or incorrect. You'll also notice that there's an add image here. Once you've selected that, you just browse through your computer and you can add any image that's required to assist students in answering that question. Now, if I want to add another question, I simply scroll down again. I could add another multiple choice, true or false, or short answer, but again, we're going to do one of each. So we'll start with true or false. From there, again, I simply type my question. Then I need to select whether that is true or false. Simply by selecting it, it will be highlighted in green, and that will indicate to you whether that was a true statement or false statement. Again, you can add the explanation or image, but for now, we're going to continue and add a short answer question. Here, to add your short answer question, you simply type your question as we have in the previous two sets. And then you'll simply scroll down and insert either optional correct answers, or since it is short answer, you do not have to provide that option in there. Now, one other option that you do have over here on the side of these three questions is an X, an up arrow, and a down arrow. Those are provided on each of those questions to rearrange the questions and or delete the questions from your quiz. So if I decided I did not want my short answer question after I've already inserted it, I can simply select that X and it will delete the question. If I decide that my true or false question should be first, I can move that simply by selecting the up arrow. Or if I change my mind, I can move it back down to question 2 by selecting the down arrow. Once I have created my quiz, I need to save and exit, found at the top right-hand corner. Then I'm ready to begin my quiz. So I can do so by selecting Start a Quiz from my dashboard. From here, I would select Example Quiz, which we have just created now. And then I also have more choices. I have a student-paced immediate feedback choice, which is highlighted here in green. Students receive immediate right or wrong feedback and explanations after they answer each question. There's also a student-paced where students can skip questions and go back and forth and take the quiz at their leisure. And then there's the teacher-paced where you send out the questions one at a time. So you can select the type of quiz that you'd like students to take, and then you can select the information that you'd like to receive. For instance, you can disable student names, randomize the question order, answer order, or disable the student feedback area. Once you are ready to begin your quiz, you simply select Start. Now, as I mentioned, this number, your room number, is what students need to log in. So we're going to copy that now, and I'm going to show you the student portion of taking the quiz. After I have selected Start, you'll see that it says Quiz in Progress. So I'm going to select the student login and enter my room name, which we've copied and pasted from the teacher room, and join the room. Once I join my room, it asks me for my name, and then it allows me to begin the quiz. So we said, how does this work? And it's a multiple choice question. I'm going to click anywhere and submit my answer. In fact, it gives me my feedback. It's a correct answer, so I can say okay, and then begin with the next question. How to put in a true or false question. Remember, we selected true, so we'll select false here. And it tells me that I did in fact have the incorrect question. If I had given justification or explanation of that, it would be listed here for the student. So it now tells me that I've completed my activity. So now I'm going to toggle back to my teacher login. With my teacher login, I can actually see my class total and the student total, as well as the answers that they provided. As you can see, Socrative is a well-rounded assessment tool that allows teachers to create quizzes, share quizzes, and then find documentation for the quizzes. If I finish this quiz, it will give me a number of ways to retrieve the data from the quiz. My favorite is download. When I select download, it will give me a whole class Excel spreadsheet indicating the answers that the students selected and their total averages. I can also select individual student PDFs and a question-specific PDF. Once I've submitted those, I will receive a folder containing those items, and I can view them. Once I open my student folder, each student will have a quiz submission. This is the quiz that I just took. And as you can see, it actually shows not only my name, but also the date that it was completed, the score, and the answer for each quiz. In doing so, you are saving time and grading and a waste of paper and trees, because we're able to access all of the information that students have here, and it can be stored at a much easier rate. I can also view within the same folder, they sent me the Excel spreadsheet, which breaks down the information per student as per their score, the number of correct answers, and the answer that they submitted for each question. So all in all, Socrative is a great tool, easy to use, and highly recommended.